Shocking new allegations against MS-13 suspect who met with DEMS. This is a suggestion via Discord. Let's go ahead and jump into it immediately.
Back to Washington, Dana. Hello.
Well, Bill, there are newly surfaced documents reviewed by Fox News Digital revealing another protective order filed against a suspected MS-13 gang member being held in El Salvador. Now, the filing says this from 2020, that Kilmar Abrego Garcia had threatened his wife, bragging that he could kill her and no one can do anything to him. Shannon Bream joins me now.
What's crazy about that statement is that, guys, they've interviewed her, but she seems to, have a very short memory, I'm guessing, in the context of these things, right? Because when she was interviewed, she basically said, no, there's no problem, type of thing. She kind of glossed over the question like it was an irrelevant thing, because she knows specifically the court of public opinion matters here. Why would we as Americans basically fight to bring someone back into the country that has all of the attributes as this guy that we all know now, right? Why would we fight to bring someone like this back into the country? And they also admitted in court documents that they came into the country illegally in 2012. Guys, there are too many issues with this case. Dear Democrats, if you want to find another case to kind of dig your teeth into, I'm sure you can find something else based off the lack of due process, etc. Right? I'm sure you could find something else. Stop backing this guy, please.
Wonderful to be here with you.
You too.
This is why you're losing.
Secretary Rubio, I was going to say Senator, but now Secretary Rubio said this in a cabinet meeting about this case yesterday.
Have you been in touch with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia? Has a formal request from this administration been made?
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy appropriately if we need to, but I'll never discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it, because that's how foreign policy works.
Okay, so he's sticking to his guns there. What does this new information tell us, if anything?
It's really shocking. We knew already there were some domestic violence allegations that the wife then did not pursue. She didn't show up in court. But this is an additional filing, and it talks about not just her, and it's really upsetting, but also that she had indicated that there were acts of abuse, kicking, slapping, shoving, mental injury of a child, and detaining against the will. So it's a child, too. But she talked about that he dragged her by her hair, dragged her out of the car. He left her in the street. I mean, it's really disturbing stuff. She never followed through on it, and that's
not uncommon.
That's how it always happens
in these kinds of cases.
But she has changed her tune quite dramatically in saying he's a great father. I'm sure that the children do miss him. I'm sure that that's the case. But regardless of this new information, does it change the situation?
No,
it doesn't change it legally, but what's interesting is it changes the conversation. I think it was Kellyanne Conway that was talking earlier. Is this the poster boy that Democrats want to put all of their effort behind their political capital? Do you want to expend it on this particular individual who has allegations of human trafficking, of MS-13 connections, all of those
types
things?
of crazy.
And listen, the president's, he has indicated a willingness to, okay, let's bring him back, let's try him, and then he could be deported again. So
because, guys, he already had an order to be deported anyway, guys. So, like, bringing him back for the sole purpose of not being held in contempt, specifically with the Democrat Party, because that's basically what it is here, guys, right? Not being held in contempt, he's just going to be removed again immediately. Because, again, he had an order to be removed. So, for the sole purpose of making it somewhat of a vanity project, sure, I'm guessing you could probably bring him back for 3 minutes and then put him back on the plane. But at the same time, how are we going to also fix the issue specifically of the El Salvadorian president who says he's not letting him go? What do we do in this scenario here, guys? What do we do?
If push comes to shove and he's brought back here to the U.S., I don't think it will be for long.
Yeah, right. It'll be like a touch and then touch and go. All right, I wanted to ask you about this. The Supreme Court listened to this case yesterday about funding for a Catholic charter school. I want to play from Justice Kavanaugh. Listen to him here.
Our cases have made very clear you can't treat religious people and religious institutions and religious speech as second class in the United States. And when you have a program that's open to all comers except religion, no, we can't do that. We can do everything else. That seems like rank discrimination against religion. And that's the concern. All the religious school is saying is don't exclude us on account of our religion.
How did you think this is going to go when they finally rule?
What's tricky about this is Justice Barrett recused because we think, she didn't publicly tell us, but we think because of some connection she had to a professor of law, an attorney who actually advised or helped this charter school in this case. But the question comes down to, that leaves us with a potential 4-4 tie. If that happens, the lower court decision stands, and that would be a loss for this charter school that says, in Oklahoma, you have all these charter schools, and some of them for very specific groups, Native American students and children in different groups. Why not allow us to have this school? Simply because we're religious in nature, we're a Catholic charter school, we shouldn't be excluded from this. So I think it's all going to come down to the Chief Justice. He had really tough questions.
It would be
I mean, yeah, that's fine as long as it's not paid for with tax dollars.
a huge change in
would be.
America
Because
if
I mean, guys, we have an understanding of the Constitution, guys.
this happens.
That's probably why they're being excluded exclusively. I do not really know much about that case, so I can't really speak on it.
It would be, because if they say schools with some kind of religious focus can take part in the public charter school programs,
Amazing.
if it happens in Oklahoma, it can
Right.
happen across the country.
Go all the way across the country.
Yeah, it would set a
Amazing.
precedent.
Shannon Bream,
Yeah, I
good to
mean,
Great to
see
see
you.
like, guys, it will set a precedent, but there's an issue with that. The problem is that depending on what religion it is, let's say, that's looking to do this, there are going to be a gigantic amount of people from other religions or lack of religion, let's say, that are going to come in and be, why am I paying for this, mosque? Why am I paying for this cathedral? Like these type of things. It's just going to happen, and I think it's fair. We live in the United States of America. Everyone has the ability to basically be exactly who they are, kind of regardless of anything, and that's completely respectable. But the problem is that you cannot allow tax dollars to pay for one's, like, you get what I'm saying here? You'll have to now allow guys. We already understand of the concept of the separation between church and school. This is not like a new thing for us. I think that it should be crowdfunded, if anything, specifically if it's for some type of like religious doctrine, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's probably the smarter way to go, without immediately involving all of the other groups of people in the United States of America, forcing them to basically pay for your specific religion. It's not, it just doesn't make any sense, at least in that context, guys. But now, in terms of the guy who was specifically in El Salvador, bro, why are we even still talking about him? Right? I mean, I get it. Well, the Democrats, they really like this guy. He's a case study, and whenever you basically bring up anything about his past, they're like, "What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense." And specifically, if they're off camera, I actually had this conversation with a buddy of mine who knew literally nothing more than what they say on CNN, right? Who knew nothing more, didn't dig into it at all, and was ready to basically, have a super solid, serious debate with me, kind of over it. And it was just like, bro, you don't know nothing about him, nothing. You're using him as like a pet project to do what exactly? Like, I have now started to fact check everything. I don't care who's saying it. Like, listen, if Fox News says it, I probably fact check it a little bit more, right? Because sometimes it's very emotional. Specifically, if we end up getting into like one of these like opinion pieces type of videos where they're just basically giving their opinions, not actually telling the news, right? Dig into that. Okay, because it's not really so much news and more so a person who is echo chambered, specifically espousing echo chambered statements. That's generally what it looks like for me. Same thing with CNN, same thing with MSNBC, et cetera, guys. I mean, I've not found a single network that I can be like, you know what, I like this. It's all corporate media. At the end of the day, guys. End of the day, it's all corporate media. They're paid to, say some of the things that they say here, guys. Right? But either way, bring back real journalism, guys. Bring it back. We need it for real. Like, not the like massive for-profit journalism. Like the ones who are getting all types of like international awards for breaking stories. Where are those people at? Right? Bring that back immediately. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day early.